open one drawer for scissors and meet a small avalanche instead. The metal rail feels cold under your thumb, and your whole body gets tense over something tiny. Why does finding one missing thing feel like winning back the room? In that moment, order feels bigger than neatness. Most people say they organize because they like clean spaces, but that is usually not the real reason. When the dust line on a shelf catches the light, you see how many little choices have been left waiting. Organizing is often a way to stop them and restore order. A work call starts in 6 minutes, your charger is gone, and a shirt is half hanging off the bed. You pull open a basket, then another, and the phone cable is knotted beneath a soft gray sock. Why does your chest tighten before anything important has even happened? The panic is not about the cable. It is about how quickly a room can prove you are not ready. The strange part is that clutter is rarely silent. In the pantry light, a clear lid flashes for a second, and every visible thing seems to ask for a decision. Put me away, use me up, fix me later, remember me tomorrow. That is why a little order can feel like control. So what are you really doing when you line up containers or stack bowls by size? You are building a room that answers fast. When the brass edge of a small key tray catches your eye, the home starts offering reach instead of resistance. There is a chair in a lot of bedrooms that stops being a chair. The denim seam draped over the arm tells you what happened there. One tired night, then another, then a small pile of postponed selves. You finally fold the clothes, clear the seat, and a little order returns. Still, your mind stops treating that corner like unfinished business. This is the quiet trick of labels, trays, and hooks. You run a thumb over the paper edge of a label, and the point is not decoration. It is a tiny reset repeated. Outside your home, most things do not move because you want them to. Deadlines slip, replies stall, plans change. Then you slide a closet door and hear the tracks settle into place, and one small part of life obeys your hands. That tiny reset matters more than people admit. Someone visits, steps over shoes by the doorway, and sets a bag down without knowing where anything belongs. You notice the fine grit on one sole near the mat, and suddenly the whole entrance feels crowded. A basket for bags, a hook for keys, one open strip of floor, and everyone moves differently. The room becomes easier to read. Think about the refrigerator. When leftovers hide in mismatched bowls, they turn into guilt with a lid on it. When the glass side of a container fogs slightly in the cool air, you can actually see dinner, lunch, tomorrow. Order is not just visual, it makes the future easier to reach. Why does a freshly folded towel calm some people faster than a long break ever does? You smooth the raised ridge in the cotton, and your hands finish something your mind could not. A completed shape gives the mind a clearer edge. A useful way to define organization is this. It is stored in tension. The curved wicker handle of a basket feels smooth because it has already made one choice for tomorrow. Keys go here, bills go there, chargers stay within reach. Good systems are quiet instructions you no longer have to repeat. When the wider world feels slippery, the house becomes the first place you test cause and effect. You press a cool switch plate, hang one bag where it belongs, and something inside you resets a little. Not because life is fixed, but because the room answered. You come home carrying mail, a grocery receipt, and that flat, tired feeling that makes every surface look useful. The rough flap of one envelope scratches your knuckle as you drop everything on the table, and a pile starts forming before you even take off your shoes. Later, you add one shallow tray by the door. The next week, paper stops spreading through the apartment like weather. Have you noticed how people often tidy right before a guest arrives, even when the guest is kind? The faint water ring on a table tells you the room keeps records of your pace. Organizing is partly social. It lets your space say welcome without making you explain yourself first. Late at night, after a day that went nowhere clean, you stand by the sink and touch the cool bead of water on a dish rack. You are not chasing perfection. You wipe the counter, fold one cloth, line up 2 cups, and breathe differently. Sometimes reset begins with the smallest visible proof that your hands still matter. Piles are not only piles, they are decisions paused in public view. On the counter, a curled receipt keeps leaning against a bowl as if it wants to remind you what is unfinished. That constant low reminder drains more energy than the cleanup usually takes. Why do people suddenly reorganize a drawer before making a difficult call? You hold the warm curve of a mug handle, straighten a stack of unopened mail, and create a sequence your thoughts can borrow. A room with order lends order back to the person inside it. There is a special kind of relief in opening a medicine cabinet and finding exactly what you need on the first try. The ridges on a pill bottle cap press into your fingers, and no extra fear joins the moment. Batteries, bandages, thermometer, pain relief, all in one clear zone. Good organization turns urgency back into procedure. Maybe that is the real appeal. Organizing is a quiet favor done for a future version of you who will be more tired, more rushed, or less kind to themselves. When the metal of a wall hook feels cool, you are placing tomorrow within reach and setting up a future reset in advance. After a full vacuuming session, the coiled cord finally sits inside the closet instead of trailing across the floor like an afterthought. The work is ordinary, but the room starts holding its own shape. What else are people seeking in these routines if not a little steadiness? That is why reset can look so humble. None of this means messy people are failing at life. You feel the slight resistance of a cabinet hinge, and you remember that disorder is often just too many open loops at once. The shame story is extra, so the most useful systems are usually the least dramatic. One hanger for tomorrow's clothes, one bowl for pocket items, one shelf that stays clear on purpose. You run a finger along the notch in a wooden hanger, and the power of order comes from repetition, not intensity. Control, in the deepest everyday sense, is not about ruling a house like a machine. It is about living somewhere that does not confuse you on the way to being yourself. When the weight of a ceramic entry bowl settles back on the console table, the room feels ready before you are. Maybe that is why organizing can feel so emotional. It is one of the quietest ways a life learns to answer back gently.